Well, Happy New Year, everyone, from Lighting the Candle, A World That Works. This is an amazing kind of a rebirth for us after such a long time. It's been, well, this is in fact episode 90. I was misspoken the last time, but quite frankly, it really doesn't matter because once you get above 3 or 4, they're all, it's like 1, 2, 3, many. And what are we doing on Lighting the Candle, A World That Works? We are speaking empowerment into existence. And there's a good friend of mine who says frequently that language is the most important thing in the world. Without language, there is nothing. And with that said, words mean something very, very powerful, and context is everything. So as we're kind of taking the English language and some other languages from time to time and dissecting them and really kind of talking about what they feel like, look like, smell like, all of the 7 senses, we're really kind of painting a picture for you at home to be able to visualize in the moment how great your life is. And we were just talking before we started the recording, and it's kind of a very powerful thing to realize and then to take responsibility for. The quality of your life is equivalent to the quality of the language that comes out of your mouth. And it literally is speaking worlds into existence. And we're going to talk some more about that. And I think as we go along, we may, allude to some experiences that we've had over the last 90 episodes. But I think the first thing that I'd like to just toss out there is to welcome 2 of my 4 original cast, and that would be Lisa Sheehan, who is a remarkable human being that I am just so grateful to know and have this wonderful, marvelous relationship with. And then also Mr. Ken Caputo, that we just never stop growing together. We just have the most amazing time. And then last of all, I'm Bill Carell. I am the chief bull goose loony in charge of calling these meetings and making sure people show up for them. So the main thing today that we're going to kick off is, how is it that we have this temporality metaphor of a year aging like, Father Time, and at the end of the year, it's always an old man. At the beginning of the year, it's always a new baby. And I think this last year, I think the old man at the end of the year was on crutches or in a wheelchair and had some patches over his eyes, and then probably had some new muscles that he built up, that weren't there, in a normal year. But that said, I'm kind of interested in the whole notion of there's an age to the 12 months of the year with regard to each time we get to a new 12th month, the 13th month, it's a brand new rebirth. It's like the phoenix rising from the ashes. Any thoughts?
That was a whole bunch right there.
I do that.
Well, the cycles apply to your lifetime. I mean, the spring of your life, the summer of your life, the fall of your life, the winter of your life. So it's always an aging process. But there's also other qualities attached to each season. This is the season of going inward in darkness and gaining of the light. So, but I also was thinking or laughing because, and I might have said it before, I heard an announcer on the radio say that they're going to just tiptoe into this new year because it's such a, so all I could picture was somebody carrying baby New Year.
Riding in the trunk, right? Here, don't tell anybody you're in the trunk.
Don't wake the baby.
Going into the drive-in on Saturday night.
Yeah, we're
5 kids in the trunk.
Right. So those are my thoughts that hit my mind immediately.
If we're careful and very, very quiet, we will not notice that we brought the baby.
Exactly.
So Ken, this just plays right into your wheelhouse with the whole circular quest thing, and how we have this helix, and we literally do have a helix with the sun's path around the Earth's path around the sun. I was going back a few hundred years. when we used to have the sun go around the earth. But now new things have gotten spoken into existence, and now we say that the earth goes around the sun.
Yeah, it's 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 interesting how uh, personally the new year, like the significance of it has evolved. From my own perspective, it's really now it's kind of nothing special. It's a time of contemplation. But I found myself like on January 1st, I don't think I did anything different than I would do any other day. It's just there are just habits. I this philosophy I've been living for the last decade, especially, of just having these habits that are just part and parcel of who I am, and it's like practicing in advance for whatever may come up. So every day is just another day, but then at the same time there's that rhythm that Lisa was talking about, that significance to, looking at the seasons of our life. And winter time is when you kind of rest, you reflect, you contemplate, and and think about preparing for spring, and investing more energy, that kind of thing. So it's this kind of paradoxical relationship with it now, where it's not a big deal, and then at the same time it is, you know so. And it's but what I wonder about, what I'm curious about, is the need to create an too much of a sense of significance in it, where for a lot of people it's like, oh, thank God I made it to some new starting point, and now I'm going to resolve myself to do all of these things. And then that's, you talk about it all the time, you see it in the fitness industry. By the end of January, everybody's tailing off, and I think it's an expectation and an attachment to the feeling of having not done enough, and then needing to overcompensate on some level at this time where you have contemplation and reflection. So I'm meandering my way through it, but I guess the question I'm asking is, would we be better served to congratulate ourselves on where we are, have compassion if it's not as much as we would have chosen to have, and then reflect on the small course corrections we can make to keep moving up what I've been dancing with lately, which is the idea of a life spiral, you know? So, and I wonder where, I know for me, there have been years in my life, whether you reflect on the new year or birthday or whatever, where it feels very circular. I ended up the same place I started. It doesn't feel like I made any progress, and that, I think we've all had that feeling. So, so if you're thinking, well, you're always kind of circling through your life in a rhythm, but are you able to elevate yourself from one day to the next, so that in the end you have this kind of an upward spiraling, metaphor to it? So there's my random thoughts on it.
It's like popcorn going off over here. The whole notion of always being in the middle of something is perfect for some people and absolutely hell for others. There are those people. It's like I always used to describe being a small business person, that every day is Wednesday. When you work 7 days a week and the phone rings and you answer it because you're in the service industry, and people are typically calling you on holidays and weekends, not because they want to see how your life's going. More often than not, the phone is ringing because something in their life isn't going well at all. And there's this opportunity to step up and make something happen. So that's always being in the middle of something. And so therefore, when other people were on vacation and other people were, in different parts of the world enjoying skiing, or I don't know, rowboating down some iridescent lake or something in Puerto Rico, that sort of thing. And they call me up and say, hey, I can't reach my server from down here. What's going on? So
Right.
in the middle. And I discovered a long time ago, probably after doing that for 6 or 7 years and always feeling like I was this much fuse left. When I started with a 25-foot long fuse, I was always at the end of that. I said, it's kind of nice every once in a while to finish a chapter, close that chapter, complete it, bring forth the great new ideas. And this is clearly, out of the whole, circular helix, hero's journey and things that we've talked about in the past, where not only do you need to reflect on what you've learned or what lessons you have that put you in a place to ask a better question, is to take some time out and recharge the battery. And sometimes it was like 2 weeks it would take, for that to really just get down to the point where we made it through the year end, our fiscal year end, or we made it through the calendar year end. And now it's like we've got to clean up the mess. We have to go and see what things were left undone, complete those things. And now we can go into the next month or the next quarter or the next year with being present, with a mindful attitude that basically says, now we're looking for what's the next thing for us. What is the next major thing for us? We had last year's major thing and we either got that done or we didn't. But since we learned something from that, now we have this opportunity to change direction, maybe, get onto a little bit different sort of conversation. So with that said, the whole idea of completion and having that just go off into the great unknown, and then have this kind of open space in front of you, or in front of me, I'll take personal responsibility for that, is that now I have this place where I can put something new and that's completely, generated from nothing. That's an invention as opposed to a change on last year's philosophy, a little bit different here, a little bit different there, but pretty much the same thing. Now we could actually just take this whole clean space and put something brand new and a brand new idea there and see what it looks like.
Yeah, I find it interesting just as you're talking. It's this. I wonder if what I'm kind of dancing with is the idea of how balanced our responses are to these certain times and rhythms. Like I was talking about, I'm thinking about business. There's a report, I don't know, it was a few years ago, and it was just talking about a lot of bankruptcies in business occur directly following a record year. So, so they have one of their best years, they make more money, and then they end up, kind of disproportionately reacting to that. They stretch themselves too thin or whatever it is, and then it ends up collapsing. So, and Jim Collins in Good to Great, he talks about the idea of the 20-mile march. And, and that was based on the two South Pole expeditions from the early 1900s. One group, they would march really far in good weather, and then they would hunker down in bad weather, and they died. They never made it to the North Pole. The other group, they disciplined themselves to try to march 20 miles a day, every day, no matter what, and they would stop early. If it was good weather, they would push through, and they made it. They actually beat all of and there was preparation, all these other things. But I guess that's what I wonder about, the value of recognizing where you are, thinking about this time of renewal, and doing it in a way where, like my mentor used to say, rhythm and balance predict success, frequency makes the master. And, so how consistent are you in those small little habits that build over time and accumulate, and really become a reflection of every moment of your life, So yeah. So it's I guess it's just, what's the relationship to these significant moments, whether it's a new year or a holiday or just some personal anniversary or event or whatever,
Lisa, do you have anything before I jump in?
Well, it's just because I was watching an interview with Brene Brown, and she was talking how people that have goals, it's great about reaching the goal, but the ones that continue to be successful are the ones that